Welcome to the CTOX podcast. This is the place to be if you're a technology leader navigating the fractional CTO landscape. I'm Marisa Brassfield, joined by Lior Weinstein, the visionary behind CTOX.
Here, we cut through the noise to deliver actionable insights for CTOs at every stage, whether you're looking at your first five-figure client or actively building systems to scale.
That's right. You'll learn principles, not just tactics, to transform your technical expertise into a thriving fractional practice. Let's dig in. Welcome back to the CTOX podcast. You weren't hired to write every line of code. You were brought in to lead the team that makes the whole system thrive. So how do you do that as a fractional CTO? Today, we have a very special guest with us, Chris Johnson. Chris happens to be one of Lior and my favorite humans on the planet, and one of his many unique abilities is building teams. Lior, I'll give you the privilege of introducing Chris.
Amazing. Chris Johnson is the founder of Passive Candidate Pro AI, a technology company that simplifies the hiring process by allowing employers to click, interview, and hire top talent twice as fast and at half the cost. The platform automatically schedules interviews with hard-to-find passive candidates, supercharging the hiring process. In addition, Johnson founded the Johnson Group in May 2006, a corporate recruiting firm that revolutionizes talent acquisition for the architecture, engineering, construction, and environmental fields. The Johnson Group had developed the corporate recruiter solution, CRS, providing firms with top-tier talent without costly recruiting fees, functioning as an internal corporate recruiter rather than a transactional headhunter. The firm has experienced over 3,100% growth and employs hundreds nationwide. But besides all that, Chris, like you said, Marisa, is one of my favorite humans on earth. And every time we get together, his passion for team building, like this is in his DNA, how he interviews, how he listens, how he appreciates. I'm just in awe every time I hear him speak about teams, partners, and humans trying to do great work. So I'm absolutely excited to have you here today. And Chris, welcome.
Hey, thank you guys so much. I sincerely appreciate that type of introduction. Man, I can do anything today. My day is ready to go. So I appreciate you guys. I'm so happy to be here.
It's easy to love on you. Now, Lior, Chris, both of you have such a track record for building remarkable high-performance teams. So I'm really excited to be part of this discussion today. So Chris, a frame that I learned from you is hiring for Olympic gold medalists. And when you're building a team, and for our listeners who are building teams as a fractional CTO, working with multiple clients, I'd love for you to share what you look for in your Olympic gold medalists, like the best people to build a team around.
100%. Well, I think, so many people get this wrong because they don't have the filtering as far as talent. And I'll tell you why. A lot of entrepreneurs and leaders, part of as entrepreneurship, we stare at the abyss and try to see the great things of what can happen and the future of what we're trying to build. And so we don't take that type of mentality off of trying to see the best things of what's going to happen. We do that same way we evaluate talent. And so sometimes when you're doing that, you can get it wrong. And so what I have a filter where it's bronze medalists, silver medalists, and gold medalists. And I could start in the way if you want, I could start at the bronze first. Is that okay, Marissa? Can I start at the
Let's do
bronze?
it. Yeah.
Okay. So bronze medalists, these and every organization has a variance of these types of folks. And some of the best high performing teams, they don't have any bronze. Bronze medalists, these are the folks that um they come in and they do just enough. They're they're there to just collect a check, and they have some ability, but they don't maximize their ability. And what happens, they end up practicing on your business, and that's expensive. Okay. And another thing about the bronze medalists, what I realize is that they have a contagion, what I call the ACK. Okay. And so what the ACK is mediocrity.
Oh,
Okay. Oh, yes. Okay. It's mediocrity. They live into that. And what happens, that can poison the silver and the gold medalists. It brings their level of performance down. Okay. And so sometimes it's hard. You need to get rid of the bronze medalists because they could be gold at another organization, just not yours. But what happens, they're tough sometimes to fire because you're like, man, I love the person. I just don't love the performance. So that's a bronze medalist. Okay. The next is a silver medalist. Now, silver medalists, they're very talented. They're proficient. They also care about the company winning. Um, but they're good. They're adequate. They can have you can have they can have success. But there's only one danger as far as a silver medalist, and I've had this. I've done this myself. So what I'm sharing with you is from the tears that I've had to wipe away of building effective teams. So other people, as far as your audience, don't have to do this. The dangerous part of silver medalists is that you can be addicted to potential. What happens is that you don't just want to win, you want to win with them. And so then you make compromising decisions about building your organization because you're like, I know it's silver, but I think if I work hard enough, if I keep long enough, they will be a good analyst. And there's a difference. They might have had a gold medal in the marathon, but they don't have a gold medal in the sprint. And you are sprinting right now. And so that's the danger bar as far as silver medalists. Okay. And then finally, I'll go to gold medalists. Okay. Gold medalists, they are elite. They have forgot more than you even know. Okay. When you interview a gold medalist, it feels different. You go into interviewing that candidate to a spirit of hope. I hope I can land this person. Because the problem that you're trying to fix, I mean, you're fixing problems. You're either double downing or you're fixing problems. And you're interviewing this candidate as a gold medalist. And so, what a gold medalist does is they reach down into their shirt and they pull out their gold medalist and they slam them on the table. And they're showing you how they won the Olympic gold in 2018, how they won it in 2020, how they won it in 2021, and how they won it in 2024. And it's the exact what you need if exactly they won gold medals in the thing that you're trying to build. That's a gold medalist. And so you gold medalists, they could run their own company, but they're willing to sacrifice them building a company to be a part of your dream. That's a gold medalist. A gold medalist, you go home to your spouse. You won't believe who I just hired. They're about to take this to another level. A gold medalist can take your company from year 1 to year 4 just by their presence. And so that is the difference of bronze, silver, and gold medalists.
Great riff. I just love hearing you do anything. um, so
Yeah. Let's go to
Natal-
church on Zoom. Why not?
yeah, honestly, this is the word. So entrepreneurs are notorious optimists. And what's the difference? You articulated a bit of it there, that feeling, but the difference between accessible possible potential and hopium.
Oh, it's so good, Marissa. I struggle with this. What I realize is that when you're optimistic and you're a good person, it's hard for you to make the right calls and the decisions. Because not only are you overcoming the decision, you got to overcome some of the things that make you great. There's things that because you care about people and you are optimistic and you are living proof of what's possible. You're not the same you as an entrepreneur that you were 3 years ago. So you have this alien mentality that anybody can do it. And you apply that filter and lens that anybody can do it. And then you get disappointed. You get frustrated of like, all you got to do for me is point at me, tell me where to go, and I'm going to go. And so what happens is we chase that. And so here's the thing that I realize, Marissa, as you're evaluating talent and where they go, and this cuts through the optimism, is that the first time you have thought about letting someone go, you've done enough research. I'll let that sink in. Everything now that you're going to do is try to convince yourself otherwise. And so if we go with that filter, you rarely ever do terminating a gold enter into your consciousness. So that's the filter as far as building teams. That it's easy in concept but hard to execute because most entrepreneurs are really caring individuals.
Lior, you've shared with me often, it never gets better than the interview.
Never gets better from the interview. And I use a similar mental model to Chris on this. The best time to fire someone is the first time you think about it. It just never gets better, especially for entrepreneurs. We have, decades of intuition and insight that are built to that kind of a thought. I have other mental models I try to audit and investigate when that thought comes up for me, like, should I let someone go? Because over the years, I've learned to trust my intuition. Like, okay, like this is probably right, but you can also make other decisions. Like one of the other mental models I use is don't judge a fish by its inability to climb a tree. So maybe letting someone go is letting someone go from the position to another position or to different responsibilities. And also, it's a lot of self-reflection. Like, are we really clear about the responsibilities and expectations, right, before we make that decision? Like, if there's full clarity and alignment, and then the performance is not there, then what you know is that that's not the person for the position. It doesn't mean that they shouldn't be a part of your organization. Like Chris said, maybe they're a gold medalist somewhere else, not just another company, but within your company, just a different seat. Be a gold medalist in a different seat. I have one of the dangerous things that I see as a leader is so I use these things, I call them like rhymes and echoes in this issue with temperature. When the difference between water, when it's 33 degrees, it's water. When it's 32 degrees Fahrenheit, it's ice. It's a 1 degree difference. You don't notice the difference though when it's 98 and 97. Right? Like our senses are not that fine-tuned when it's a 1 degree difference, but you're in a different environment. Now, what is the water and ice? It's an extreme case, right? Where it's like abundantly clear, like, oh, wait, they are not a gold medalist. Because in that kind of situation, it's very clear. It's ice and water. And when you put them in other environments where, in fact, if you measured it, you would see 98 and 97. And you wouldn't understand that it's that kind of a material difference because it's not as high stakes, right? For example, something like that. And for me, the biggest danger, and that's one of the things I work with, like my partner CEOs, when I start engagements, it's this issue with rhyming, right? Like how somebody might sound like a gold medalist, right? They might act like a gold medalist, and maybe for that behavior snippet, it is like they're doing the same. They're saying the same thing a gold medalist would say, but the next sentence is not. And it's very confusing. That's why, when people look, so a common thing we see in technology, for example, we see really in anything, but it's glaring in technology because of the economic implication of it, which is people hire for progeny rather than proficiency. So they see a resume, oh, ex Google, Netflix, PayPal, Harvard, whatever it is, right? This happens in all business forms. It's in technology, the salary of someone that's X those starts at 400, 500, if not all the way to 800, versus somebody that's perfect fit, and they might only make 180, 120. In the creative arts, and technology engineering is a creative art, most people don't understand that it is. The reality is you can be an incredible 16-year-old, right? Just like you can be an incredible 55-year-old. So the years of experience and where you worked are not a good enough indicator to your art, but to how good of a creative thinker you are and how reliable you are as a person, those kind of things. Very common in our spaces to see that. So I look for the false positives, right? And also the false negatives. The fact that somebody only went to a community college and went to startups, that's a false negative. That doesn't mean that they can't do the work. But the fact that it went to Netflix or Google, it's most times it's a false positive. It's not a signal you should use. It very much rhymes like something that you think you need, but it's not. And the last thing is echoes, which is really the evidence. Like, okay, if somebody's actually doing the work, how do you, what are the downstream implications? What are those ripples that if they're doing the right work, that the thing is happening, that they are a gold medalist, right? A gold medalist shows up before everyone, right? For example. When there's a race, ding, 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 like there's going to be some kind of a record, right? You see these evidence, these kind of signals. All very, a lot of things that you really learn with experience. And until you see them, it's hard to appreciate them.
I think about another false signal that comes up in hiring and evaluation is like top performers as individual contributors often get promoted to management and leadership. Chris, how do you assess whether someone's the right fit for a leadership role versus an individual contributor or management role?
Yeah, I've made that mistake so many times, especially in, sales organizations. You could take your very top performer and put them in a management position. And it's a difficult and that mistake has cost me. What happens is you could lose both. You lose your top performer and there's no one to lead the team, right? And so the assessment that I take a look at when I'm doing that is I want to make sure that that top performer has a pathway to continue to succeed, and that they have a pathway to go into leadership, and then test them to see what their aptitude is. And so what happens is that they'll audition. If you only have one opportunity, that the pathway is management, they're going to audition for that, knowing that in their bones, they do not like to teach. They do not like to coach. They just like to produce and talk to customers. Right. But if you give them two pathways that are equally as successful, what they'll do is they'll be truthful on the aptitude. And then what you do is do some micro tests. If they say that they want to go into management, giving them micro projects in that before you make a promotion official. Give them that new hire to go ahead and coach, and you give them clear KPIs as far as the success. And that's one of the ways that I do now. I test, then I press, because it's all a bet. You're betting that if this person's the right person to promote into this area. And what I realize is that you can do some micro tests before you go ahead and press that button. And that has been a greater indication if someone is promotable and if that is the right decision for that role.
Yeah, we use the same, even for contractor hires. We actually do like paid homework, paid tests. And when we hire people, we say, hey, here's a task that we're willing to pay $100, $200, $300. And it's usually twice as much as it's worth. And we would test, 5 people, 10 people. we would pay them no matter what. It doesn't matter what the quality of the delivery is. Like if we agree to pay them, we will pay them. And we like escrow it. Maybe we use Upwork or some mechanism like that. And most of what we're looking for is actually the metadata. How are they communicating? What's the gap between their promise and delivery? What meaning they're saying, yeah, I'll deliver in 48 hours. Do they deliver that? What kind of questions are they asking? What kind of burden are they putting on the team? Right? When people ask me, I understand everything. Let's just get on a call to align. I'm like, man, you already like I did a great job in giving information. Now, if everybody tells me that, I'm like, okay, I didn't do a good job in communicating. Right. But if I already know, well, 6 other people seems to have understood it without getting on a call. So it tells me what kind of burden, what kind of like effort our team is going to have if we hire this person. Like, do they really know how to operate standalone? Do they understand written communication? We ask for stuff like send us a video, 2-minute video of you showing your work because I want to see how they communicate. And then what do they send? Do they send me a YouTube, a Google Drive link, a file, a Dropbox? There's all the metadata, just how they operate, how they work. Way more than the quality of the delivery, because on the quality, I know that we can work on it. Obviously, if it's very poor, then they're not going to get. But most people are not. Like if they get to a point where they have some social proof, some reviews, some experience, it's probably not going to be too poor. And then lastly, we look for their discernment. Meaning when they deliver us a document, a presentation, a graphic, a video, a code, whatever it is, and they say, this is my best work. Now, they could say it's not my best work. They could say this is the best I could have done in 4 hours, right? Or I know these are kind of, drafty, but they tell us. But if they don't, they're like, yeah, this is perfect. This is exactly what you asked. And we look at it from an aesthetic perspective. Like, is this high quality? Then we know also something about them, like how they judge, how they discern. And then we might spend $2,000, $3,000 testing, 10 people. But if we got someone from a risk management standpoint, like a de-risking that they're not going to be a good fit, it's like we basically underwrote the position by testing it with hard cash across, 10 other people. So we have a much better success rate. And it's not foolproof, but it's much better than most people exactly for that. So we can basically proof of work, right? And proof of value.
I love that for hiring. Now, let's talk about when you're inheriting an existing team. You're either going in to advise, you're going in to lead the technology team. Chris, how do you evaluate who stays, who grows, who might need to be replaced? And Lior, I want to hear your perspectives on this too.
Yeah, no, it's a great question. I think you go into like a mindset of a professional sports organization, and evaluating the talent with fresh eyes. And I think is the leader that comes into that organization comes in with there's no bias of what you have done in the past, because that could be altered by the leadership that was here before, right? So you're letting them all know that this is a clean slate of as far as exactly the vision of what I want to build, and you're giving them a fresh start for them to be able to show the aptitude to execute in the vision that you're looking for. I think so many leaders, even in a situation like this, they don't clearly articulate how the team can be a hero in their role. And so what I created was what's called a hero roadmap. And it's really clear of like, would you like to know how you could be a hero in this organization for me? Yes, yes, I would love to know. And then you provide them the hero roadmap. Most leaders accidentally tell them to figure it out, and I'll meet you at the end to see if you get there or not. Versus, here's the hero roadmap. This is how I look at you, and I look at you of like, oh my gosh, they are a killer. This is how the hero roadmap, and here's the KPIs to let you know that you're on the right path. And then you get to decide if you're going to be a hero or not. And we're going to have these benchmarks in times where we communicate to see that if you're on the right track. And so when a leader comes and does that, they basically said everyone's at ground zero as far as what you want, as far as where you're at. Here's the hero roadmaps, each individually for you guys, and here where we're going as an organization, and clear milestones and KPIs to make sure that we're on the right path. Then they have the clear ability to know what they have, who they need to hire for. Sometimes that is evident within a week that you gave someone a hero roadmap and it's supposed to go this way, and then they're going this way. It's very clear that the signals that we are not on the same page. And so that would be how I would recommend someone comes in as they inherit a new organization.
I love the frame of the sports team because that is accessible and practical. We've all experienced, no matter what sport you're a fan of, you take a star, you put them into a new system, a new city, a new culture, and they sink or they thrive. And it's not about that person's self-worth, it's how they operate within the whole and how they make the whole team better. Lior, how about you?
First of all, great frame. I think I'm going to switch to that approach. I really like that. I really like making people heroes. For me, when I get into organization, I immediately try to figure out if people are in the right seats. And I have conversations with them to make sure, well, to learn about their capabilities, about their history, but also their aspirations, their visions. And I know on my side, when I build teams, there's a good structured way to be successful with technology. You need a good kind of engineering team and good processes, good kind of product team and processes. And without leaders and the right systems on both of those, none of it matters. So the first thing I'm trying to figure out, who are the leaders? Who are my leaders? Are they already there and they're titled? Or they're not there and they're hidden and I can upgrade them? And if I find somebody that I think, then I give them these breadcrumbs and I see if they pick it up. So we agree on a task and I see how fast, they do it and the quality. I see their attitude, their mindset. And as soon as I can, I make a decision, yep, they can now be the director of whatever it is, or we need to quickly recruit for that. And in the fractional space, we have different ways. Like I'm a fractional CTO, we can do fractional director of engineering, fractional product, and so on and so forth. To get the velocity, but I'm really measuring them by the kind of productivity you can measure in engineering, which is this velocity of sprint points and tasks and those kind of things. And first and foremost, I'm trying to figure out do the people already exist? And I'm looking in many cases for disqualifiers. Like, are they gossiping? Are they talking like bad, negative language about other people? Because that's not good leadership qualities, right? Do they have come in with a good attitude, productive attitude? Now, they might be scared and hurt and traumatic because of the organization that they work with, right? So I'm also there to kind of help pacify that and give them, a new path forward. So I don't immediately react if they don't have the right mindset. But given the right conditions and environment, do they have the right mindset? And then with every position, I create I like the hero frame, but we created like, what is success? What is ideal outcome of like, we're here a year from now, and this was a great year. What would have had to happen? Right. So it's a Dan Sullivan frame. We take it's the R question, R factor. So the relationship, like if we're a year from now, and I use a year first before I do the 3-year. So if we're sitting here a year from now and we had the best year ever, what would have had to be true for you to feel happy with your progress? And based on that, we build up their vision. And I see if a lot of what they're saying is not aligning with what I know is needed for the organization, then we make a shift. And we might make a shift out, or we make a shift for the role. Like, well, if this is what you want, this is the kind of role that can have it, as opposed to the role you thought you're going to have.
I love that you mentioned like the emergent behaviors, the things that they're already doing, because when it comes to sustainability, longevity, and especially when you're solving for like a low drama, high trust, highly effective team, looking for those things that they're already doing naturally, that's a pathway to simplicity. And thank you for the Dan Sullivan segue, because it is partially because of Dan Sullivan that we all met And we're all together, even in this room today. So a whole lot of gratitude and love for strategic coach Dan Sullivan, Bab Smith, the whole team. And the concept of who, not how is a big one that we talk about inside the Accelerate. I'd love to hear how each of you lean into who, not how, not just to solve big problems, but also when you're looking to build your teams. Who wants to kick this one off?
I'll do a short one on this. Because I work fractionally across multiple organizations, who, not how is the only way I can operate. The only way I can operate. I can't scale. I can't create results. Like as soon as any task comes up, mid conversation, I'm like, who's gonna do this? Who are we gonna hire? Like that, I immediately pivot the conversation to that. And maybe it's a contractor, maybe it's an Upwork, maybe it's a full-time, doesn't matter. But the conversation immediately goes there, as opposed to how, because otherwise I simply know that I can't service any of my businesses or any of my clients' businesses.
Yeah, no, that's great. Who Not How has been transformational for me. I mean, what do I got the book here. I know Leo
Yeah,
has it as well.
it's here somewhere.
Um, and I think once you adopt this frame, you just look at things so differently. Um, so many entrepreneurs, they howl all over themselves. Uh, they howl themselves into anxiety, into stress, instead of actually getting the right who. And I see this in every aspect of my life. And sometimes, even though I understand it, there's sometimes as entrepreneurs, we are so get it done people that we go and do the what and the how when we know we should have got the who. And I just share one story of this because I was looking at the window yesterday. I'm on 7.5 acres. And I got a mower, and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna go and I'm gonna mow the pasture, and I'm gonna do, I said I'm gonna have some gospel music. I'm just gonna go enjoy this. And as I'm pulling out, I hit a pincher bug nest, and pincher bugs go everywhere. And then I have to turn it off, and I'm getting that pincher bug so they don't go into my facility. And then I'm like, and I'm grossed out. I'm like, you know what? I'm still going. And I've cleaned that up, and I'm going, and then I hit a soccer ball, and the soccer ball has holes in it. And then I'm like, oh, I'm freaking out. Look, I'm still getting heebie-jeebies as far as this. And um I'm 15 minutes in it. I turn this thing off and I go into the house. I take a shower. I got dust all over me, in my eyes, and the whole nine. And I called my landscaper and I said, you know what? Can I'd love to have you go ahead and do this. He takes my own mower and he's there, and an hour goes by and it's pristine. And I'm looking at there, it's glass. And I go out there and I'm like, I don't even know how he cut it this fine. Like, and it's, I could lay down out there. And I'm like, what on earth was I thinking? Who, not how, Chris Johnson? So think about how many times that we're just driving our own selves crazy by our own actions instead of going to get the who. Go get the who the first time in every aspect of your life. I don't have a gold medalist in mowing 7.5 acres, but he's to the gold medalist. And then you go be the gold in what you do.
You should clip this and put it on his website as a testimonial.
I will.
That's a great idea. We'll clip this and have a version you can send. Chris, my gosh, every time we get together, I think I could listen to this man all day. And as of June, we have a way to do so. I'd love for you, as we wrap today, tell us about the Chris Johnson Show.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Marissa. It's been a long time coming. My dear guy, Lior, man, this is my guy. I love this man. It's wonderful. And since the first time that I met him, we became fast friends. And he saw different frameworks and the way that I speak, even in our mastermind groups and the whole nine. So he's been telling me that I need to turn on the camera for years. And I have been living comfortable in obscurity. And, you know, I decided that, if this is the medium that I need to go ahead and do this, where it's not just in different organizations that I'm a part of, um, it's selfish for me to sit on this gift. And I've been so blessed. And, I want to be a blessing. And so I decided to go ahead and turn on the camera and go ahead and start social media. So I created the Chris Johnson Show. So it's on YouTube, Spotify, TikTok, LinkedIn, Instagram. And so that's where people can find me, Chris Johnson Coach. And it's been awesome. I've already seen. I've only been doing it 2 weeks, and I've already seen how much it's been a blessing to others. So I thank Lior, I think Chad, I think so many who have encouraged me, and even you, Marissa. I think you were like, "Hey, listen, you need to go ahead and drop the book. You need to go ahead and do this." And so
We sketched
uh,
out the framework over lunch one day.
over lunch, exactly. And here I am, and I'm also building the book now. So I give just so much credit to people that I love so much and that love me back. And so my whole goal is to help people turn burdens into breakthroughs and breakthroughs into blessings. And so that's what I want to do, and I want to do that for the rest of my life.
So beautiful. Well, thank you, Chris.
We cannot wait.
Yeah, yeah. Essential.
Thank you.
And we look forward to having you back here and seeing each other at Coach and all the other places and spaces where we play together. And thank you again for sharing your wisdom with us today on the podcast. Thank you, Lior, as always. I love being with you guys and having such fabulous conversations about teams and building better futures for businesses and entrepreneurs. So thank you both for the fabulous conversation today. That wraps up another episode of the CTOX podcast. We hope today's conversation gave you the tools and inspiration to advance your journey as a fractional CTO.
And don't forget, if you want more in-depth support or to connect with our community of fellow fractional CTOs, visit us at ctox.com.
Thanks for tuning in, and we'll catch you next time on the CTOX podcast.